After that, we can start. So maybe 1 or 2 minutes we can wait, and then we can start. Shri Anil Kumar Jain. So he is going to be our today's speaker. He is the retired additional chief engineer from PhD Rajasthan. So I am very glad that he has इन्होंने इस टॉपिक को लिया है. And I also welcome Mr. Ramesh K. Rana, who is our team lead of PMU here. So I also thank him for kindly agreeing to moderate this webinar. Not taking much time, please mute your mics. जैसा लॉगिन करने के बाद अपना माइक म्यूट कर लीजिए. ठीक है, धन्यवाद. जैसा हम जानते हैं कि ये जो जल जीवन मिशन है, एक जन आंदोलन का रूप लेना है. अभी जो जैसा प्रधानमंत्री जी या हमारे जो माननीय मंत्री जी भी बोलते हैं, तो तब बोलते हैं कि इट शुड बी एन कम्युनिटी ड्रिवन प्रोग्राम rather than an engineer driven program. So इसके लिए एक तो कैपेसिटी बिल्डिंग बहुत जरूरी है. हम वही कर रहे हैं, क्योंकि आखिर जो है जितना भी जो हम लोग जो इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर क्रिएट कर रहे हैं जल जीवन के मिशन के तहत, इसको आखिर जो है हमारा उद्देश्य ये है कि गांव के लोगों को देना है. उनको ही इसको ओनरशिप लेना है. वही गांव के लोग ही इसको जो है चलाना भी है. ऑपरेशनल मेंटेनेंस उनको ही करना है. और दूसरा है, दिस इज एन बॉटम अप अप्रोच. इसका मतलब यह है कि आप सब जानते हैं कि पहले जो है गांव लोगों से मिलना है, उनसे पूछना है आपको कहां पानी मिलेगा, किस तरह का सोर्स है, कहां पर टंकी बनना चाहिए. दिस इज कॉल्ड, हम जानते हैं कि देयर आर वेरियस, वी हैव पार्टिसिपेटरी रूरल अप्रेजल टेक्निक है, और हमारा विलेज एक्शन प्लान भी कहता है कि लोगों से मिलने के बाद ही जो है विलेज एक्शन प्लान बनाना है. उसके बाद ही हमारा स्कीम सब इंप्लीमेंट होगी. सो ये सब के लिए एक तो कैपेसिटी बिल्डिंग हम ऑलरेडी कर रहे हैं. जैसा आप जानते हैं कि जो इंजीनियर्स के लिए, जो पीएचडी इंजीनियर्स एंड रूरल वाटर सप्लाई इंजीनियर्स के लिए हमारा लेवल 2 जो केआरसीज कर रहे हैं, स्टेट्स में अपना कर रहे हैं. इम्प्लीमेंटेशन सपोर्ट एजेंसीज बहुत सारा स्टेट में बहुत अच्छा काम कर रहे हैं. लोगों के साथ मिल रहे हैं, उनको हैंड होल्डिंग कर रहे हैं, उनको जो है अवेयरनेस बढ़ा रहे हैं. बहुत अच्छा काम कर रहे हैं बहुत सारे जगह में इम्प्लीमेंटिंग सपोर्ट एजेंसीज. उनका एक बहुत अहम दायित्व है इस पूरे प्रोसेस में, क्योंकि वही एक ब्रिज बनेंगे सरकारी विभाग और लोगों के बीच में. बिकॉज हम सब जानते हैं सभी जगह सरकारी विभाग नहीं पहुंच सकती है. और उसके अलावा जो है लोगों को बीच में ये स्कीम पहुंचना है. जैसा आप सब जानते हैं, हर एक स्कीम जब बनता है उसमें साइन बोर्ड लगाना पड़ता है. उसका स्कीम का नाम क्या है, कितना इसमें लागत है, कौन इंप्लीमेंटिंग एजेंसी है, उसमें कितना लाभदायक होंगे, कितना बेनिफिशियरीज होंगे, ये सब चीज. क्योंकि लोगों को जागरूक करना बहुत जरूरी है, और लोगों को इसके साथ, सबके हमारे साथ, इस सरकार के साथ, सबके साथ जुड़ना चाहिए. तभी एक सफल कार्यक्रम बन सकता है. इसे ज्यादा समय ना लेते हुए मैं, हमारे आज वक्ता हैं श्री अनिल कुमार जैन जी, उनको मैं आमंत्रित करना चाहूंगा कि वो अपना लोगों के समक्ष अपना अनुभव रखें. और कैसा, बिकॉज ये एक बहुत ही अहम चीज है. जैसा हम बोलते हैं, एक तो कैपेसिटी बिल्डिंग बहुत ही जरूरी चीज है, हम बहुत सारे जगह करें. और आईईसी एक्टिविटीज, जैसा बोलते हैं कि एक लोगों के बीच में इसको लोगों को जागरूक करना चाहिए, लोगों को जानकारी होना चाहिए, लोगों को अपना पता होना चाहिए कि क्या हो, कंट्रीब्यूट कैसे कर सकते हैं. ये महज एक सरकारी का प्रोग्राम नहीं रहना चाहिए. इसको जो है एक जन आंदोलन बनाना बहुत ही जरूरी है, ये प्रोग्राम को सक्सेस बनाने के लिए. ज्यादा वक्त नहीं लेते हुए मैं अभी इनको, हमारे आज के मुख्य वक्ता श्री अनिल कुमार जैन को आमंत्रित करना चाहता हूँ. बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद. अनम्यूट कर लीजिए। अनिल कुमार साहब, आप अनम्यूट कर लीजिए, आपका म्यूट है। उनको देखो पैनल में, उनको बढ़ाया नहीं क्या? पैनल कर लीजिए उनको, पैनल नीचे 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 नीचे। अनिल कुमार जैन है, सेकंड सेकंड। हाँ, उनको अनम्यूट कर लीजिए। हाँ, यस, अभी आपकी आवाज आ रही है। सॉरी, कुछ टेक्निकल प्रॉब्लम की वजह से आप नहीं सुन पा रहे हैं। शायद अभी आपकी आवाज आएगी।
क्या कैन यू हियर मी नाउ?
यस यस यस, वेरी वेल, थैंक यू सो मच।
और मेरी स्लाइड भी दिखाई दे रही है?
स्लाइड अभी शेयरिंग नहीं हो रही है, अभी स्लाइड नहीं दिखाई दे रही है।
ओ, पर मैं तो शेयर कर चुका हूं।
और एक बार आप थोड़ा सा बाहर आकर के और एक बार करिए, हो जाएगा। क्लोज कर दीजिए, क्लोज करके और एक बार करिए शेयर स्लाइड में जा।
अच्छा,
अच्छा, मैं एक काम रहना चाहता हूं कि थोड़ा सा तब तक हमारा राणा जी है। राणा जी, इनको इनको इंट्रोड्यूस करना चाहेंगे? हेलो,
Hello, sir.
आप स्पीकर को इंट्रोड्यूस करना चाहेंगे?
This already sort of introduction has been done, so I think maybe so in the meantime, introduce himself, background about now.
क्या क्या
Also,
अब क्या अब
यस,
ये दिखाई दे रही है स्लाइड?
बिल्कुल बिल्कुल, अभी दिखाई दे रही है।
public है sir ये।
ओके, तो मैं शुरू करता हूं। और आपको बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद। आई थैंक यू वेरी मच फॉर गिविंग मी दिस अपॉर्चुनिटी टू बी विद यू एंड शेयर माय एक्सपीरियंसेस। मैं अनिल कुमार जैन हूं और मैंने करीबन 38 साल 38 इयर्स पीएचडी पब्लिक हेल्थ इंजीनियरिंग डिपार्टमेंट गवर्नमेंट ऑफ राजस्थान में काम किया। आई रिसेंटली रिटायर्ड एज एडिशनल चीफ इंजीनियर। तो इस पूरी लाइफ में मैंने रूरल अर्बन वाटर सप्लाईज को डील किया, लेकिन मेरा स्पेशल इंटरेस्ट सोशल इश्यूज में रहा रिलेटेड टू वाटर। And I've been associated with UNICEF and some other NGO activities, workshops, trainings. And ultimately I have realized that जो अभी हमारे वक्ता ने इंट्रोड्यूस करते समय कहा कि सोशल इश्यूज वाटर के बहुत ज़्यादा इम्पोर्टेंट हैं, एज इम्पोर्टेंट एज टेक्निकल इश्यूज। तो आज मैं मेरे इस प्रेजेंटेशन में कुछ बातें आपसे शेयर करूंगा। एंड आई डोंट क्लेम दैट आई विल बी एबल टू टेल यू समथिंग न्यू विच यू डोंट नो। आप सभी बहुत एक्सपीरियंस लोग हैं, आपको सारी बातें पता हैं, पर जो मैं आपसे शेयर कर रहा हूँ वो मेरे अपनी फीलिंग्स हैं, मेरे अपने एक्सपीरियंसेस हैं, और मेरे अपने कुछ प्रैक्टिकल एक्सपीरियंस हैं जो मैंने आजमाए और मुझे लगा कि दिस इज इम्पोर्टेंट। तो मैं शुरू करता हूँ। जन आंदोलन बहुत सही शब्द दिया गया है इस वाटर प्रोजेक्ट को, इस जेजेएम को, और सही माने में ये जनता का आंदोलन बन के ही हमें सफलता मिलेगी। तो आज मैं इस पे बात करूंगा कि वाटर मैनेजमेंट में कम्युनिटी को बेहतर इन्वॉल्व करने के लिए क्या करें।
एक कागज एक पेन लीजिए।
क्या सब सुनाई दिखाई दे रहा है ना?
बिल्कुल सुनाई दे रही है। आप आगे जाइए। कुछ लोग म्यूट, बाकी लोग म्यूट कर लें, बाकी लोग म्यूट कर लें, बस कर दिए। ओके।
यहाँ पर एक बात मैं कहूंगा कि वाटर ड्यू टू इज सोशल कल्चरल एंड रिलीजियस नेचर इज मोर ऑफ ए सोशल इशू देन टेक्निकल। भारत की परंपरा, भारत के सांस्कृतिक सामाजिक परिवेश में यदि हम पानी को देखें तो पानी का सामाजिक, सांस्कृतिक और धार्मिक मूल्य बहुत अधिक है, और पानी हमारी लाइव्स में एक अलग तरह का स्टेटस रखता है। इट्स जस्ट नॉट अ मटेरियल और अ लिक्विड, इट्स जस्ट नॉट अ कमोडिटी विच कैन बी परचेज और सोल्ड। सो पानी का एक बड़ा स्पेशल स्टेटस है हमारी सोसाइटी में। इसीलिए आज हम ये सब बात कर रहे हैं कि इंजीनियरिंग एस्पेक्ट्स, फाइनेंशियल एस्पेक्ट्स, मैनेजरियल एस्पेक्ट्स के साथ में हम सोशल एस्पेक्ट पे बात कर रहे हैं। और टेक्नोलॉजी इंपॉर्टेंट है, बट इट्स जस्ट द मींस, नॉट द एंड। टेक्नोलॉजी इज टू सपोर्ट अस, टू गिव अस पावर, टू गिव अस एफिशिएंसी, टू गिव अस स्पीड, लेकिन इसके जो सोशल एस्पेक्ट्स हैं वो बहुत इंपॉर्टेंस रखते हैं। आज मैं इसी पे बात करूंगा। थोड़ा हम देख लें, and please forgive me if I'm saying things which you already know, बट मैं इन चीजों को सिर्फ रिवाइज करना चाह रहा हूं ताकि हम दोबारा इस पे सोचें और इसको मन में रखें। कम्युनिटी जो है वो पानी की एंड यूजर है, इसलिए बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट है। और ह्यूमन सेटलमेंट्स आर लोकेटेड फार एंड वाइड। पूरी दुनिया में बस्तियां बसी हुई हैं, जगह जगह दूर दूर कोनों में गांव हैं, बस्तियां हैं। इसी तरह पानी के सोर्सेज भी दूर दूर हैं जहां हर समय हम पहुंच नहीं सकते, और कम्युनिटी का इम्पैक्ट उन सोर्सेज पे बहुत ज्यादा है, एज ए यूजर, एज ए पोल्यूटर, किसी भी तरीके से। कम्युनिटी को, ह्यूमन बीइंग्स को सबसे बेस्ट क्वालिटी का पानी चाहिए। आज हम सिविलाइजेशन और डेवलपमेंट के जिस एंड पे पहुंच गए हैं, जो हेल्थ एंड अवेयरनेस एंड सैनिटेशन के जिस लेवल पर हमें बेस्ट क्वालिटी का पानी चाहिए। लेकिन साथ साथ में हमारी एक्वायर्ड नीड्स बढ़ गई हैं। अब पानी सिर्फ ड्रिंकिंग, ईटिंग, बेथिंग तक सीमित नहीं रहा है। We have created so many activities which consume a lot of water. So our water requirement is increasing more than in proportion to the population. लेकिन देखने वाली बात यह है कि इंडिया में और बाहर भी, पर इंडिया में खासतौर से, क्योंकि इंडिया एक पुरानी सिविलाइजेशन है, कम्युनिटीज ने सेंचुरीज तक पानी को खुद मैनेज किया है। There were no governments, there was nothing, but they managed water on their own. और पुरानी संस्कृति होने के नाते जो एज ओल्ड विजडम है और एक्सपीरियंस है, वो पानी पे भी अप्लाई होता है। स्लाइड क्यों नहीं हो रहा है? यहाँ पर कुछ तस्वीरें हैं जहां पर ऊपर टॉप लेफ्ट पर जो है एक कुएं है। डेजर्ट एरिया में, राजस्थान में, पानी को जमीन के ऊपर से फ्लो करवा के इकट्ठा कर लेते हैं, एंड द सैंडी particles they settle and they drink it round the year. No treatment, nothing, only just cleanliness is maintained around. बॉटम लेफ्ट पे एक रेन वाटर कलेक्शन स्ट्रक्चर है जो रोड साइड पे बना हुआ है। इसमें जो पेव्ड सरफेस है, रेनफॉल रेन्स फॉल ऑन दिस, द वाटर फ्लोज टू द सेंटर, gets collected in the tank underground, and there's a bucket and a rope permanently tied there, so anybody who passes by can drink water. And there are 2 ponds, and on the right top, these are our modern water structures. This is a Bisalpur dam, a very major water supply dam in Rajasthan. Community water traditional scenario. Communities have managed water on their own, but with the support of the rich and rulers. Because whenever it came to constructing big structures, then the community never had the resources and the money. So the rich and the rulers, they used to provide money, but in turn the community did the labor. They did the manual work to construct that free of cost, and the structures were handed over to community and they managed. So this is what JGM is also doing. We are in fact bringing our old system, old tradition again. Role of governments came in much later. Is it visible?
जैन साहब, आपका पीपीटी अभी थोड़ा सा स्क्रीन में नहीं दिख रहा है।
Oh, it's again going off. Why?
कोई नहीं, आप और एक बार कर लीजिए, थोड़ा सा मे बी बैंडविड्थ इश्यूज हो सकते हैं। यस, इट इज अगेन, या इट्स विजिबल नाउ, फुल स्क्रीन कर दीजिए।
गवर्नमेंट्स बाद में आई और गवर्नमेंट ने फिर जनता की वेलफेयर के लिए वाटर सप्लाई को अपने हाथ में लिया। ज्यादातर जगह पे लेबर, वॉच एंड बोर्ड, कंजर्वेशन, ये सब कम्युनिटी का रोल हुआ करता था उस जमाने में। और जो अमीर थे, राजा थे, रूलर थे, उन्होंने फंड्स दिए। पोल्यूशन तब कम था, सो ट्रीटमेंट एक बहुत बड़ा इशू नहीं था, तो पानी को एज इट इज यूज किया जाता था, डायरेक्ट यूज किया जाता था। लोग प्रकृति के करीब थे, क्लोज टू नेचर, सो उनकी अंडरस्टैंडिंग बहुत अच्छी थी। they could feel the rains, they could feel water, the sources, uska behavior, though it was not scientific, but they had a common sense understanding of the water systems in nature. Water was loved, feared, and worshipped. तीन इश्यूज वाटर के साथ थे. पानी के साथ प्यार आज भी सभी को है, पानी का डर भी है, पानी की पूजा का ट्रेडिशन रहा था. पानी को because its importance to life was understood very well, so it is linkage to the gods, to the deities. It was there. And एक कुएं का पानी खारा है, उसको जानवर को पिला दीजिए. एक कुएं का पानी मीठा है, उसे पी लीजिए. तालाब के अंदर नहा लीजिए. So these were their systems. They were unwritten laws, unwritten do's and don'ts in society. They knew that which water is good for which use, without any scientific or chemical analysis based knowledge. Water was a common community resource. Water was for all. It was God's gift. It was a very important resource on earth, and it is for everyone. That was the feeling. That has been the feeling. In saline belts, deserts, rainwater drinking was practiced. Rajasthan has been a pioneer in rainwater drinking for centuries, where community collected rainwater out of their rooftops and drank it round the year without any treatment and safely. Such was the level of hygiene and cleanliness maintained. Such was the level of understanding. Such was the level of love for rainwater. And because their groundwater was saline, so this was a very good option for drinking purposes. Relation of water was health was known, but not scientifically. They knew that good water is good for health, so clean water is to be drunk. Here is a majestic Bawdi. It's a huge structure, water structure in Rajasthan, and you can see what importance was given to the water source. Nowadays, these are abandoned. They are lying dirty because no more in use. Post-independence scenario. Then government came in the picture. They took the responsibility of water supply. Government took the responsibility of providing safe drinking water to everyone in the country. Education and health awareness led to the need of better quality potable waters. Urbanization and development brought technology. Technology came in because the work population was increasing, demand was increasing, living standard was increasing. So technology had brought in to treat water, to pump it to far-flung areas, to store in reservoirs, and then to distribute it, manage it. Pollution increased with industrialization, with urbanization, changing lifestyle, consumerism, and then came the need of better treatment, more treatment, exhaustive treatments. Borewells, pumps came in. The country was dug with drilling machines, and it put an excessive burden on the groundwater, resulting in depletion levels, water tables going down, and quality of water worsening due to more withdrawal, lack of recharge. Failure of local resources. Then large water supply systems came in, where water was supplied, treated, brought from a distant source, and was distributed to multiple villages, hundreds of villages. Pipe networks, water treatment plants, pumping systems came in. Local sources started getting abandoned, unpolluted, on many grounds. One thing, because of the depletion of the rainwater, groundwater, wells, tube wells, and other local sources, they got depleted, so not in use. And the tap water, when it reached far-flung villages, then people got dependent on the tap water, and they, in most cases, abandoned those local sources, which used to be the major providers of water. Modern lifestyle necessitated household tap connections because comfortable life was required, was wanted by everyone, and so household tap connections, at least in urban areas, came in very fast. Almost all urban towns in India have household tap connections, and now Jal Jeevan Mission is doing that for all the rural areas, and the target is 2024. community got more and more dependent on the government for water supply. That was good and bad in both senses. Good because government was doing its job. Government had taken the important responsibility of water supply. But the bad part was that they got dependent. They almost stopped doing what they were doing earlier in managing their own water. Community participation in management gradually decreased because of the dependence. Now in the urban areas, I just receive water in my tap, I pay my bill, that's all. That's my responsibility. But the kind of participation we used to have in earlier India, that was going down, that was almost missing with the time. Huge effort and investment is done by the government in water sector in the last 70 years. Millions of kilometers of pipelines, lakhs of water structures, thousands of water treatment plants have been made, dams, canals, so many aqueducts, tube wells. But the desired satisfaction is missing. Still, we think, still, a common man is not fully happy about water supply. He's always doubtful whether he'll get the water tomorrow or not. He always feels short of water. It has various psychological, social, cultural, technical dimensions to the problem. But still, the happiness factor in relation to water is not increased in proportion to the investment and the effort we have done throughout the country. Large projects were more urban centric. Now it is time to be rural centric. Rural areas being far-flung, scattered, were not benefited to the desired level. Urban areas, household tap connections, 100 to 150 LPCD, and they pay for water tariff. Rural areas, 40 to 70, mostly free. In Rajasthan, it has been 40 and 70, 40 for normal villages, 70 for desert areas. Now, JJM has come up with 55 and to higher level in desert areas. Developed countries have small and big town concept. While interacting with some water engineers in Netherlands, our team, one of the members asked them, what is the LPCD in rural areas of Netherlands? That gentleman asked, what do you mean by rural? And what do you mean by LPCD? So my friend said the LPCD is the quantity of water you supply per person per day, and rural is villages. He said, we don't have any rural here in Netherlands. We have small towns and big towns. So everybody gets equal quantity of water. I think India is also forging ahead in that direction, but the task is very huge. The quantum is very huge, so it will take a few years. But I think JJM has set the foundation, has set the stepping stone for that achievement, that after a few decades, our rural areas and urban areas will be having similar facility of water. Then came Swachh Bharat Mission, the toilets, sanitation, and flushing toilets, flush toilets, they required more water for flushing, and tap connections became essential. Community participation has been felt in the last few decades, more especially in rural areas. Initially, government took all the responsibility of water, and community thought it's government's duty. But when it was felt that the desired satisfaction is not there, despite all the effort, then in the last few decades, the requirement of community participation, awareness, HRD, IEC has been felt more and more. That's why all these efforts are being made in the direction. Programs, community-based programs like Swajal Dhara, NRDWP, JJM have been launched, and to mixed level of success. Why we need IEC and HRD? Communities have always had the traditional wisdom on water. Oh, again. Is it visible now?
Yes, it's visible. Please go ahead. Yes.
We cannot say that they don't know anything about water. They have managed water in their own way and successfully. They have survived for centuries with their own water management. But their wisdom, their practices took the back seat, started taking the back seat when modern water systems came in. And somehow, at some level, at some places, it was felt that they were primitive or out of date. So the new technology, new methods took over. New methods were more convenient. They were quick. So their traditional practices took the back seat. And that led to the total dependence on the government for water supply projects. The role shrunk to demanding water and timely payment. The community, which was doing all management, managing their own water for centuries, now they have come to the level that they think that they can demand water, and government thinks, we think that they should pay for it timely. Major problems like fluoride, arsenic in water also required good understanding by community for abatement. Safety of water assets, wastage, pollution of sources, recycle and recharge are some other issues which were need of the hour. With the changing times, with the paucity of safe water in nature, with the challenges of treatment, transmission, distribution, the cost factor, these started taking importance. And need was felt that scientific knowledge on behavior of water, sources, its quality, testing, impact on health, treatment, and conjunctive use and role of community. This need was felt very badly that this should be known to every citizen of the country so that they can in some way participate and support the government in managing water supply systems. To provide safe water to all within the limited and dwindling water source is a challenge. The demand is increasing, expectations are increasing, awareness is increasing. Sources are now limited, they are depleting, they're getting polluted, they're shifting, erratic rainfall pattern. Community participation can bring greater satisfaction and system performance. It has been felt in many of the states, at many of the places where such success stories have taken place, that when community participates, they are happier, they feel the sense of ownership, they are more satisfied, and system performs well within the same means, within the same system, within the same parameters. Even huge investment in water sector so far hasn't brought the desired results. Lessons learned from age-old community managed water supply systems. These lessons have been learned from our old systems. Traditional wisdom and new knowledge need to be combined to have best outcome. The new knowledge should not outsmart or should not reject the old knowledge. They have to be dovetailed. We tell the community that we are proud of the systems you had earlier. You should also be proud, but with the changing times, there is some modification required, looking to the new scientific methods, new knowledge. So we want you to conserve and continue using your systems with these modifications, for which we are with you. We are ready to spend, we are ready to fund and finance, but you also have to come forward to take charge. Sense of ownership at the level of the community is important. If they think that this is my system, my pipeline, then results can be great. It is well understood now. What I've been doing in AIC, HRD so far, IEC and HRD, with the support of UN and other agencies, many big NGOs, government departments, a lot of IEC and HRD has been done in the past few decades. It has played a very important role in mitigation of fluoride, arsenic, guinea worm, and many other hazards in drinking water successfully. There have been great success stories. NGOs have come in the arena in a big way because the problem has a soft and social nature. NGOs are most suited to take up such assignments. They're down to earth, connected to the ground. And the government system is not fully equipped for this kind of social activity. And I think the required aptitude and attitude is also missing or lacking for various reasons. So NGOs came in the picture. Publicity campaigns, trainings, workshops, village meetings, audio video education, wall paintings, rallies have been going on for quite some time now. The results have been mixed with a lot of success, though. JJM has a huge provision for such activities. General awareness is on the rise. Increasing literacy levels have also contributed to it. Just for a change of, this is a typical map made by the ISA in a village in consultation with the community. Community got involved in planning their water supply scheme. And on the map, they could feel their village, that where's the temple, where's the tank, where's the school. What seems to be missing? To me, something seems to be missing. Complete dependence on NGOs. What I've felt in my service career, that when it comes to IEC and HRD, we straightway depend on the other agencies. We assign the job, we contract the job, we place the work order and forget it. Engineers are, in most cases, generally not involved, but there are many vigilant, many sensitive engineers who have a taste and temperament for such kind of activities. They definitely devote some time and energies, but the working style and the working environment is such that engineers don't get time. They're busy in execution, other technical work, surveys, designs, estimations. So they are not involved to the extent it should have been. NGOs often lack knowledge of the subject. NGOs also, they need business, they need work. So in order to get work, they dwell in, they go into, venture into various kind of activities, various kind of areas like health, education, water, AIDS, so many. And when it comes to water, in many cases, they don't have the desired know-how and knowledge on the subject. The awareness education materials is often in official jargon, guidelines, clauses, do's and don'ts, which is not easily digested by communities. I've myself seen in many of the workshops that when you talk about the official guidelines in their official language, maybe Hindi, even Hindi, official Hindi, the communities, they get cut off, they get disinterested. They are not able to really appreciate what is being told on the stage. Unknowingly, the traditional practices and wisdom start looking obsolete and are abandoned. When in a lot of enthusiasm on the new technology and the new project and the new guidelines and new scheme, when I talk to the community about something very new coming to their village, some new treatment plant, or and maybe when I tell them about the bad situation of water supply in their village, unknowingly, their rich traditional practices which they have been practicing successfully for many years, they start looking obsolete. In a hurry to achieve FSTC and financial targets, sometimes communities often bypassed in order to submit the project, in order to do tenders and execute the work and achieve the FSTC targets, which are asked in every VC, in every meeting from Delhi, from Jaipur. We don't have enough time and patience to go to community, sit with them, plan their project. So they are bypassed, or maybe they are not involved to the level they should have been. The new knowledge is often linked or connected or dovetailed with the traditional knowledge. Even an old open well or old pond or bawdi in the village, it can be used even today with certain modifications, certain do's and don'ts, precautions, recharge methods, or controlling the pollution, or conjunctive use. If the quality is not great, then they can be used for other uses, non-drinking uses. But it is being observed that wherever our tapped water supplies go, in most cases, the local sources are abandoned. They are filled up with debris, filled up with kachara, and they are no more used. It's a typical rush for water in a village, in a rural setting. It's an urban setting, it's common, rush for water. Now, what should be our approach to effective IEC and HRD? I'm not a social expert. I'm not qualified enough to go deeper into the subject, but I'm sharing what I felt as an engineer, as a person in the field, and what I've tried to practice even. Traditional water system must be dovetailed with the new system rather than abandoning. There's a very clear and speaking provision in JJM guidelines to use local sources, traditional sources, to create additional LPCD. To the village is not necessary that they limit themselves to 55. If the government is providing them 55 LPCD from a distant source through their project, then they are always free to rejuvenate, continue using their traditional sources and have extra water. But it is not seen in true spirit, and in most cases the local sources are being abandoned, and we as PhD engineers also don't look to those sources because our concept of sustainability is connected to large dams which are sustainable for the next 30 years. To me, a village well or a village pond doesn't look sustainable because it can provide water, say, for 2-3 months only, or maybe it doesn't have the required quality. So in my typical engineering planning of a water supply scheme, these local sources don't have a very useful place. But I differ here. They have a use. They definitely have a use. The non-drinking use of water, because under JJM, we'll be providing 55 liters of drinking quality water. But there will be a lot of non-drinking usage in the villages, like water for kettle, water for washing, water for flushing. So these traditional sources, if they are rejuvenated or they are used and maintained and not allowed to pollute, not allowed to be abandoned, then they can be used. Communities' pride and sense of ownership with their old systems must be preserved. They always had a pride in this well was made by my grandfather and it has served our family for 40 years. It's a matter of pride. But if that well is now today abandoned, it is filled with debris or not used, then where will that pride go? So we, in our IC activity, HRD activities, we have to give due focus on the local sources and let them feel that we also feel that they are important. Let us not give an impression that because of our new age water supply systems, we don't think they are important anymore. We should give equal importance to the local sources in our presentations, in our schemes, in our DPRs. The agencies deployed for IEC must be sensitive and well versed on the local traditional systems and modern ones. Big NGOs, like an NGO from Delhi, he acquires a job, takes a job in Rajasthan. Then the problem is the people, the teams he deploys for these activities, they must be basically knowing the socio-cultural, religious aspect of water in that particular area, the behavioral parameters of that area. Otherwise, it will just become a mechanical give and take process where presentations will be done, some banners will be put up, some workshops or rallies will be done, and the job will be over. The local sense, the local flavor has to be maintained in all our IEC activities. how people in those particular district. I think we should come to the district as a basic unit. Even block can be, but a district more or less has a similar traits throughout the district. So the people who go to impart knowledge and do the IEC activities, they should have the local feel and knowledge of that particular district or block. Just sharing the provisions and clauses of guidelines or procedures may not be effective. If we just read out or we just present that what are the provisions, what you have to do, what we will do, what is your duty, what is our duty, what VWC will do, it's okay, it's important. But the other aspects of water, their connectivity with people, their social, their practices, their old practices, rejuvenation, their connection with the new scheme, they should always be part of. And now that school education is very common and everywhere literacy is increasing, so some knowledge of scientific knowledge of water will always be useful. Use of local language, examples and success stories can be very effective. This here I would like to stress on the fact that first of all, I must thank Jal Shakti Mantralaya to include me in that group, prestigious group of 26 people, national group, who are really associated with trainings and IEC activities. And under that, I've been delivering lectures in some of the KRC's workshops in the local areas in Rajasthan. And I have done this myself, and I can share my videos also to the ministry so that other participants can also see. I am speaking to them in Rajasthani, everything in Rajasthani, and I found that has it come back?
Yes, it has come back. Please go ahead.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Thank you. When I spoke to them in Rajasthani, they started communicating a lot. They started speaking. They started raising their questions, sharing their experiences, giving their views, and it became a very two-way communication. As long as people were speaking to them in Shuddha Hindi, there's a silence in the hall, and till the end. And when they were asked, "Do you have any questions?" they said no. But when I spoke to them in Rajasthani, this was the response. Then I made them calculate rainwater quantity, rainwater harvesting tank. I explained them how the DPR is made, how a water treatment plant works in simple language, and giving the examples of their own life in the village system, whatever examples they have. And I connected the technical things to the examples which they know. And it was wonderful, wonderful. After the meeting also, they surrounded me, they talked to me, and they said, some of them came to me, "Sir, we have few dry wells in our village, we want to rejuvenate it, can you help?" And they also promised me that when rains start this July, they will share, they will they will share their pictures, how they have collected rainwater. They promised me. So the local language has such a impact. So I appeal to all my audience, to my fellow engineers, to the NGOs, that it's better to use the local language when we promote JJM, when we do IEC activities. And this I have felt myself, I've done myself, so I'm sharing it. I'm very confident about it. Next thing I did, I've done myself, and to a good success level, setup of small scale pilot projects, real life examples to prove the point. When I was posted as additional chief engineer in Ajmer last year, I feel that people come to us for their water issues, and then we advise them to do rainwater harvesting also, like other people in Rajasthan, Western Rajasthan are doing. In many of our IEC activities, we do this, but not many, hardly anybody does it. In my office, I am using distillery water at my table in the meetings, and I'm advocating use of rainwater for drinking. So with my help of my team, we installed a pilot rainwater project about 1,000 to 2,000 liters capacity with a good filter. And everybody who visited my office was given rainwater to taste. That's how we could prove the point. Yes, it can be drunk. So far, many of my friends, my engineer friends, don't believe that rainwater can be drunk. Whereas in Rajasthan, for centuries, people are using it, people are drinking it for years. I have lived in a house in Sujangarh where I drank rainwater for 3 years. No treatment required. I don't say that we should not treat it. Looking to the modern times and the level of pollution and the level of health awareness, we can put a kitchen filter to rainwater. And then in my Rajasthani language lecture, I told them to collect rainwater. I told them that you don't make a big tank in the beginning. It will cost you a lot. In the first year, you fill 2 or 3 drums. Use it for bathing, use it for drinking for some time, then enjoy it. Have the taste of it. And if you do it once or twice, I'm sure you'll make a bigger tank in the coming years. They can also fill it in the bottles and use it charging water for their inverter battery. So preaching is to be converted to practice. The IEC people, the engineers, the people who go to tell people to do certain things, they should be able to say that we also do the same. And we are doing it successfully. So the level of trust, otherwise becomes a religious preaching. सच बोलना चाहिए, बड़ों का आदर करना चाहिए, देश की भक्ति होनी चाहिए. वो सुनने में ऐसा लगता है. We should prove the point by making some real life projects, pilot projects, and demonstrating the success. NGOs need to be trained prior to sending them to field. We just award them the work order, look at their credentials, look at their experience, financial turnover, and the various certificates they carry, and we give them the work. I'm not criticizing NGOs. I'm just saying this thing to make them more effective, because we all have our limitations. I cannot be master of every subject. I cannot be called to UP and address to the UP villagers and tell them about water. I don't understand their practices. I can be more confident in my Rajasthan scenario where I've seen the rural life. I can talk to people. So NGOs need to be trained for that particular area where they've been deployed. And we can promote them to hire local people, and we should train them. Big NGOs have been deployed in a big number under JJM. ISCs are there. I'll quote 1 or 2 examples here. I had gone to supervise one of the training work, IEC work in a village where one NGO was working. So I silently joined the meeting. The person on the stage was telling the school students that water causes many diseases, so it should be boiled always before drinking. So I had to intervene, and without insulting the speaker, without making him feel bad, I told the students that your sir is saying the right thing, but not in case, but only in case of when there's a pollution there is some kind of spread of disease. Otherwise, if you have clean water, if you put it cleanly in your kitchen, if you use it cleanly, then so these kind of, those innocent minds, 250 students, what message they would have taken? This would have been imprinted permanently in their minds. It is very sensitive. We are sending NGOs scot-free to the field just after seeing their credentials. And I'm also seeing that due to paucity of time, lack of interest, or maybe other reasons, being busy, the employer, engineers, they are not able to even supervise their work. Somebody has to watch what is being disseminated, what is being told. And one more thing, in one NGO discourse, they were telling the people the importance of the soak pit. Sokta Gadda. Sokta Gadda has come like a, Raman Dawa. Everybody is making Sokta Gadda. So he told the audience that black water can also be put to the soak pit. Gray water, he was telling about the gray and black water management. So gray water can be put into soak pit. It will help ground recharge. And black water can also be put. I again then intervened and told them, the soak pit cannot be used. Soak pit cannot be used like a panacea, like a treatment for everything. Soak pit depth, soak pit design, they must vary from place to place, depending on the permeability, the nature of the soil, and the groundwater table. So NGOs need to be trained, and there should be a clear watching eye on them, on their work, because these innocent people in far-flung villages, if they are unknowingly, out of lack of knowledge, if they are told such things, they can really give a very, 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 very permanent imprint on their minds, and the whole purpose can be lost. Engineers and chemist wing must be effectively involved in IEC. What I'm seeing is, what I've seen all these years, oh, this is the job of the NGO. Training IEC NGO. And now NGOs making posters which have spelling mistakes, which have wrong messages. In fact, no IEC cannot be done without involvement of engineer. On two counts. He is the boss. He is the person who is awarding the work. And he is the person who is responsible for water supply in that area. So in the coming years, we use chemistry in Rajasthan, a laboratory in every district. They have all kind of state-of-the-art equipments, gadgetries. So water quality for conjunctive use, in fact, conjunctive use have been emphasized to a great extent in JJM guidelines. And conjunctive use can be successfully practiced when you know what the water quality is. What is the meaning and relevance of water quality? So, chemist wing in association with engineers can, at least if they cannot go to every meeting, they can train the NGOs. They can give specific what exact messages we have to give in my area, how it is to be explained, and when in doubt, consult us, rather than being an expert in replying to all the queries of the community. So NGOs need to be trained, supervised, and controlled. And we have to develop new NGOs. We can make groups of unemployed youth, civil engineers, unemployed engineers. We can promote them. We can train them to form NGOs and come in the field. Use of local language can work wonders. I have already explained on this, and I will again request all my audiences, my friends, my fellow engineers, NGOs, please use local language. Local languages are very sweet, and they are very effective. Use of social media saves paper, if effort and money. Is fast, pinpointed, and effective, but with caution. WhatsApp is being used by now everyone, so you can connect to even an individual in far-flung villages. You make groups, the JGM villages, their WhatsApp groups can be formed, and the messages can be shared. But these messages should be drafted, should be designed under strict supervision, because wrong messages will like a cancer to the society. IEC HRD should not be on as and when special funds available basis. I'm amazed. I've been amazed all my life to see that in my Rajasthan, where people have been using rainwater harvesting for centuries, my department and me, we talked about rainwater harvesting when only special funds were received. Whenever central fund or state fund were received for IC activity for rainwater harvesting, we started speaking rainwater harvesting. We got funds and we constructed thousands of the RWH. RWH is to be a part of our everyday work life. PhD engineer in Rajasthan must keep RWHN is in daily work list, not when the funds arrive or when the central guidelines come. That's why in the last 70 years, only those districts where RWH was in practice have been doing RWH on their own without any government support, because their forefathers have been doing it. And some of them have stopped doing it because we have sent tapped connection to their house. We have not created any new consumers, new users who have adopted rainwater harvesting for drinking in the post-independence scenario, because we ourselves don't do it. Though we say it's good, we should do it. I'm doing it at my house, and I've motivated some of my friends to do it. In my office, we did it, but it's not enough. It was just a sample. Rainwater harvesting for drinking with some scientific care, scientific procedure, scientific caution should be adopted, and it is a sure sort solution to drinking water. And so we should continue adopting the good practices in our day-to-day engineering work, not when some direction or some special project or some funds arrive. Is it okay? Am I audible?
Yes, yes, you are audible. Giant sir, you are
Okay,
audible.
sir. Okay, sir. Okay, sir. The irony with these online conferences that we can't see each other, so I'm speaking to my laptop and you are listening to a screen. Anyway, I'm really thankful to you all for listening to me so patiently, and I hope I sense I make sense while saying something. Not many slides left. I'll just continue. Uh, Models and procedures suggested through guidelines at national and state level may not suit the social ground condition at every place. In my state, a recharge pit drawing was circulated throughout the state. Recharge of groundwater through rainwater. And that drawing was a standard drawing, and it was adopted in many tenders without applying brain on this, mind on this. Every area has different kind of hydrogeology, and the drawing and it did not really work very successfully. So whenever we want to suggest the community, or we want to construct something for the community, we, in our IEC, in our HRD, in our trainings, in our technical insemination, we should not use things, in a general guideline mode. Every such typical drawing should be modified or analyzed or weighed for that particular, at least at district level. RWH works. When funds and directions came from top, we constructed few thousand big rainwater harvesting tanks. And what happened? They were 4,000 plus. I visited many of them. I talked to the other, in the schools they were made, because government schools have a lot of land, and then they can't say no. So the construction was done in the school, and it was thought that the school teachers and the students, they will use it, and the students will have good quality drinking water. I visited many of them, and I found some of them were defunct. Water was not reaching because the pipelines coming from the rooftop were broken. And in some cases, if the headmaster was vigilant and smart, he was using that RWS tank as a water tank. He said, sir, rainwater is not coming, so I am putting tanker water in this, and we are using for gardening. So rainwater harvesting tanks became just storage tanks. And the intention was very good when they were made. It was a great intention, great objective, but without any advanced preparation. Rainwater harvesting in the state can succeed when every PhD office drinks rainwater from its campus. Then you see how it happens. Because rainwater harvesting costs. You have to construct a tank. You cannot expect a common man to spend 1 or 2 or 3 lakh rupees on the tanks. But when you prove the point, and when you make him feel the need, and when he's convinced that this can be a good solution to my drinking water problem, he will do it on himself. He's buying motorcycle, he's buying TV, mobile on his own, because he feels the need. So rainwater harvesting is a solution, but to be done with caution, because if once technology gets a bad name, you cannot revive it. So let's not give bad name to rainwater harvesting technology by implementing it with half-heartedly. Rainwater harvesting is the future, at least in Rajasthan, because we have a concept, we have a culture for centuries. Modification to suit local condition is a must. Point blanket cannot be applied. One more thing, aesthetics and beautification attracts common people to waterworks. Our IEC activities, HRD activities, they should have this element of aesthetics and beautification, because water is loved by all. Water brings greenery. Water brings happiness. Raindrops make you smile. So that kind of, because if you must be knowing that in India, in Rajasthan, we say, save water. Water is life. I visited Singapore to see their water supply. They say love water, because you will protect something most which you love. The example is your own child. We love our children. We love the small sweet animals and we try to protect them. So love water. Love will come out of aesthetics, beautification, good boards, signboards, attractive boards, and very nice campuses. We have huge campuses of millions of rupees where we can put fountains and we can do greenery to attract tourists. Water systems can attract people, community to see, and innovation must be encouraged. In our system, innovation is not encouraged much because rules, regulations, and innovation has a risk. Somebody has to take risk to innovate, but innovation must be encouraged. Water establishments can be excellent tourist attractions, filming locations in Rajasthan, and you also, all across the country. We have big water centers, big, huge reservoirs, huge clariflocculators, filter plants, campuses. They can be filming locations. We can earn revenue. They can be training centers. Why don't we invite on our own engineering students to stay there, have a 3-day residential training on a filter plant so that we can produce great water engineers? So our IC and HRD must include these concepts. In Singapore, their pump houses are tourist attractions. One of the side wall is made of glass. So when you are moving outside, you can see people working inside. And there are ponds outside. They are recycling sewage to produce drinking water. They call it new water in Singapore. And people have not still accepted it fully because the mindset is there that is sewage water. But after treatment is as good as drinking water, but it's getting promoted. And to prove the quality of their new water, they have put it in tanks outside the new water factory, and they put very colorful fish there. So these are innovations. Water is not a majburi. ये हमारी मजबूरी नहीं है, ये जीवन है. And life has to be vibrant. Life should be full of happiness. Life should be full of hope. If water is life, then water has hope. Water is happiness. Water is life. Next slide. O&M of JJM by community would need large number of skilled and trained people. You think, Owen? We all are thinking. We all are worried. What will happen? Suddenly, in the next 1 or 2 years, we'll be handing over thousands of water supply schemes to the community. And we'll tell them, okay, now you're on your own. They will need skilled people who can repair pipelines, who can lay new pipelines, who can release connections, who can repair valves, replace valves, operate valves. Where they'll come from? So this IC and HRD activity under JJM has a great responsibility of producing, motivating such people who will be working for the community with some skill. We don't need engineers. We don't need BTechs or B diplomas in water or in pipelines. But we need people just like a plumber who is not a trained guy, but he can do the work. Deployment of local village youth during the execution would provide trained people to the O&M. In my recent training session, they asked me, once you leave us, who will take care of this water, our scheme? Then in Rajasthani language, I conversed with them. I told them that there'll be a contractor in your village very soon coming to execute the work. Where the concerned engineer will also suggest the contractor, and you also, because contractor will do the work in your consultation of the VWC and the Sarpanch. You better you find out some good, energetic, hardworking, unemployed youth in your village who will be staff of the contractor. And they were convinced. They said, yes, this is a very good way. They'll get employment, and side by side they'll get trained. So once the contractor leaves, they'll be there to do the work. All trainings, in addition to provision of the guidelines and procedures, must cover basic scientific understanding of complete water cycle. In all my trainings, before coming to JJM, I tell them how the first drop of rain is formed in the sky. What happens when it travels to the earth, to the ground? And what happens in between? It dissolves gases, it dissolves soil particles, it becomes acidic. What happens when it falls on the earth, on the surfaces, rooftops, road, concrete, mountains? How infiltration happens? How runoff happens? What happens to the runoff? How it travels? And I explain the journey to the ocean. And I explain the journey of the infiltrated water into the ground to the groundwater. So now all my trainees, they know why groundwater has salt, TDS, dissolved salts, why rivers and lakes and ponds water is soft. And they like it. They really like it. They said, Ki, whatever my grandfather or my seniors used to tell me, whatever you are saying, they are linked, they make sense, they're connected. So they accepted whatever I said gladly. Community needs to be convinced and empowered enough to do it themselves rather than depending on the government for everything. Let us take up our activities, project execution, IEC and HRD in such a way that we make them independent. Otherwise, after handing over the JJ scheme, if the scheme fails in 1 or 2 years, they'll come back to us. JJM does not aim at this. JJM is a great program. It's a Jan Andolan, very rightly said. And it aims at making them independent. This is a picture from a famous village in Piplantri, which is famous all over the world for its innovative activity in all areas, all sectors, especially in management. Here I would like to quote one example which I was involved. I am today sharing few examples which I have been involved. I'll take a few minutes on this and then my presentation will be over. And then I would request you all to suggest, to ask, or to enrich me with your experiences. This is a Bawdi. Bawdi is a step well. Many of the states might not be knowing this because they don't have this. Well is a structure, is a deep pit in the ground where you can draw water with a bucket and rope or with a pump. But step well is a underground pit which has water like well, but it has steps. Step well, you can go down. And in Rajasthan, step wells were made by kings and the rulers because water was revered, water was worshipped. So all the water structures are beautifully made. When a structure is beautiful, people are less likely to damage it, to insult it, to abuse it. So these structures were, thousands of structures are there in the state, which are very decoratedly made. And in this, you see a balcony where the rulers and his people would sit, because due to the underground water, the atmosphere was cold. So it has a kind of good air conditioning effect. So it served many purposes, for meetings, for sitting in the cool, having good time with the queen, the family. And on the left, it is the picture of the same structure. This is a 300-year-old Bawdi or step well, which was called Javki Bawdi, made by rulers in Kuchaman city. Kuchaman city is in district Nagaur, and Nagaur is known for its water crisis and very, very rich water management, including rainwater harvesting for drinking. If you want to see rainwater harvesting structures, you come to Nagaur. Almost every house in some of the towns has a structure. And when you go there, they will treat you as a guest, and treating you as a VIP, they will specially bring that water, underground water, for you to drink. So this Javki Bawdi was 300 years old. it was 60 feet deep, and with times the groundwater table depleted, and the groundwater table there is now 120 feet. So the Bawadi was devoid of water, no water, because there was no percolation from the groundwater. Gradually, people started throwing their kachra, solid waste into it. Trees grew into the walls. The plaster got bad. It got damaged and totally abused. Then under the Mukhyamantri Jal Swavlamban Abhiyan, those days the chief minister, she was very interested in rehabilitation of such structures. So the then chairman of the board, he was given the instruction on demand of the local people to rehabilitate this Bawadi. The chairman called me and asked me to visit and see what can be done. I visited the place, talked to the people. People were really eager to do. And they collected money through an NGO. An NGO was deployed, and this was repaired. So on the right, the picture is of the repaired structure. But the next challenge was, you have repaired it. But a structure, a water structure, does not have any value unless it has water, and did not have water. And it was not supposed to have water because the groundwater table had gone very deep. Then we had a meeting there. I visited the place again, and we saw that there were a lot of big buildings nearby, huge buildings having huge rooftops. They were of the rich people of the city who were earning in Calcutta or Madras or other cities, but they had left these big buildings there. So I got them telephoned, and we sought their permission to use their rooftop without going to the rooftop. That means the water which flows down, rainwater which flows down the rooftop, was to be trapped at the ground and was brought to the Bawadi. Nobody was ready to believe me that this can bring water into the Bawadi. I told them, hey, you just wait, give me one opportunity, wait for a season. So with my PhD engineers help, local engineers, we designed a little network of as UPVC pipes, which connected 4 or 5 rooftops. And I also requested the other people who had small houses nearby and who was living at the time, but they were apprehensive, so did not allow me to connect their rooftops. But I told them, gentlemen, next year you will come yourself to connect the rooftops. Magic is going to happen this year. So we put some left some open points, plug points for their future connections. Pipeline was laid, and then I told them, this rains, this Bawadi is going to be full, but your groundwater table is deep, so it will soak all the water into the groundwater. So my suggestion is, you make the bottom of the Bawadi pakka, concreted. So don't let any water to go into the ground again. And don't use the water of this Bawadi, because if you use it, it will be consumed. So let it be filled, and in order to save it from getting stale, you put a little fountain, an aerator, with a shivling. So the aerator fountain will fall on the shivling, and it will give a very good, nice religious feeling, and people won't make it dirty. They all agreed. And in July, the telephone call came to me. Sir, please come to see. It is full of water. And I have put this video, complete video, on YouTube also. You can type rehabilitation of Javki Bawadi. Rehabilitation of Javki Bawadi at YouTube. Anil Jain, Ajmer. You'll find this. So I'm really feeling very proud to share this success story with you, because I could sense their happiness when pipe line flew into the ground, this Bavdi. And more such dry wells can be restored, can be rehabilitated. I made it a mission in my personal life to do this. So wherever I go, I try to find a dry well and convince people to connect their rooftops. There are precautions. Your rooftop must be clean. There should not be any chemical, any pesticide, or any color paint boxes, etc. So it can be done. So in the end, I will thank you all for this patient listening. I know I'm connected right now to the people all over the country. It's a great moment of honor for me that I'm able to talk to you, and you are always free to talk to me on phone or emails. I would love to know what you're doing in your area, and I will also share my things with you. And there is one more attraction for me. When I come to your state, I'll have somebody like you there as a friend to meet and to know more about the state. My mobile number is 94147 39665. 94147 39665. And my email is anil.ajmer anil.ajmer@gmail.com. Thank you, Nanak Bhai. You just wrote that he's a singer too. Yes, I would like to share here, because water for me is just not an engineering, it's a community, it's society, it's culture, and music is my great interest. So I've been using music also in my IEC and other activities. And with music, the community, your participants, they connect to you so well, they become so friendly. And when you connect to people, make friends with them, you can communicate very well. And my YouTube channel is there. You can write Anil Anil space Jain space Ajmer. If you type this on YouTube, I have around more than 600 music live shows on YouTube. And great to be with you. I finish my presentation here, and I thank the organizers. Thank you very much.
Yes, thank you so much for actually sharing your experience. I think it was very, very interesting for a lot of us. Yes, I would, hand over to Mr. Rana. Rana, would you like to add something? कुछ है? Am I audible?
Yes, you are.
Yes. Rana ji, over to you.
Hello, can you hear me now?
Yes, Rana ji. Yes.
So first of all, thank you very much, sir, for giving very insightful presentation. And I think a lot of takeaway from this session. And I totally agree that there is a need for the capacity building of all the stakeholders. And you have given the strong message that there is no need to have preaching. Preaching has to be converted to the action, and that's the need. So a lot of some observations, suggestions, and have come during your presentation. So I would like to go through a few things and would like your view.
Okay.
If the person who have raised the question, you would like to ask the question, I will be quite happy to unmute and ask the question. The very first one is from Sila Khair. Her statement is that encroachment of tank areas for agriculture purpose is a big issue. And evacuation is very difficult, need a strong legal intervention for evacuation. So yes, I think this is a suggestion, and I agree with you. So sir, in your experience, have you come across this kind of situation in Rajasthan that maybe some water bodies had been encroached, and how you have taken this issue with the administration to solve the issue. Would you like to
Yes,
experience?
yes, sir, yes, sir. It is happening everywhere. I was posted with the Smart City mission at Ajmer, and we have a historic lake called Anasagar in Ajmer city. Uh, you would appreciate that the human tendency is to encroach. Actually, humans do encroach whenever they find opportunity, and water bodies are the best baits, because whenever water body is dry, if a water body is dry for many years, people think that water will not come again. So it's a land available for them and they encroach it. There are many mishaps in Uttarakhand also, where buildings were made in the river way of waterway, and they got. So here, what, as water engineers, though it is not a complete responsibility of water engineer to to stop all these kind of encroachments, but the water resources engineer, it is a convergence work. The administration and the PhD, everybody connected to water, they should ensure that the water bodies have enough water by diverting rainwater, by not allowing to encroach into their incoming channels. So if a water body continues having water, there are less chances of encroachment. And then it's a matter of law and order. You have to take strict action against the encroachers.
Right. Thank you, sir. And again, one suggestion is coming out that it is being suggested that in the engineering curriculum, chapter on people participation and its importance should be kept with practical, so that when the engineers join the government services, they will discharge their duty focusing on the people. So,
Fully agreed. Fully
yeah,
agreed, sir. Fully agreed. And here I would quote that in our school days, we do prayer every morning and repeat all moral things. Listen to all the moral preachings. But in the college, we don't do it. So does that mean that we don't need morality in college? And then after college, so moral education, social education, IEC, and community oriented knowledge, it has to be part of all curriculum, because every professional has to ultimately work for the society.
right. So, one suggestion is coming from Mr. Nanak, suggesting that rainwater harvesting will serve as a drought proofing measure as well as water quality mitigation in the water quality affected area. And so, anything you would like to comment on this statement, sir?
Yes, Mr. Nanak is right. Mr. Nanak is right. Rainwater harvesting, if practiced, at least in Rajasthan, the way it has been done for centuries, it can bring wonderful results.
Right. So, in fact, connected to this question, this is my question I would like to ask. You mentioned in the presentation, sir, about the some Taka concept, whether rainwater being stored and the community are using the rainwater for whole year. So, I wanted to understand more detail that normally when you store the rainwater, how you are going to maintain its contamination free, and water will be stagnant in the tank. So, what is the mechanism which keeps
Very, very,
for
very,
leaking?
sir, very valid question, sir. Everybody has this question in mind, but I believe that seeing is believing. I invite you and other people to Rajasthan and I'll show you around personally the structures, but right now I'll explain in brief. In the traditional Taka system, what they did, they knew that first 2 or 3 rains have dust particles, gases, and other contamination from the atmosphere. So they used to wash away the first 2, 3 rains. The rooftop was kept clean, well repaired, and crack free. Every day it was cleaned. No bird droppings, no junk, no kachra on the rooftop. And then through the pipes, the water was brought to the underground tank. The tank was away from sunlight, away from air. I mean, it was tight, airtight. It was constructed in lime mortar traditionally. So lime also helps in some kind of treatment of water, and then it was stored in the rainy season, and it was sealed. It was sealed. Okay. Water was brought out from this with a very clean tube and bucket only. And in the building in my childhood where I lived, that guy who was maintaining that, he did not allow us to even come nearby the tanka. He said, "You'll make it dirty." And then one day we insisted that I want to see from inside. Then he got my legs washed and he took me near under on the steps. And the bottom of the tanka was visible. So clean water it was, and the size of it was 10 feet deep and very good length and breadth. And in I was in Ganganagar day before yesterday. When I told people, the community about rainwater, one of the person was very vigilant and he had a taka in his home. So next day he brought a jerrycan full of rainwater for demonstration to all the participants, and they all drank rainwater. And surprisingly, our ancestors, they did not do any treatment. Whenever they felt that the water is murky, they did a little alum. They used to just move a piece of alum in that. That's all. And there are no incidents of anybody falling ill, any stomach upset, or any digestive system failure problems because of rainwater. The only thing is, the catchword is caution, cleanliness, and care.
Right. So one thing, in addition to that, we would like to understand, like, suppose if you are storing the water for long, about maybe 8 or 9 months, whether any water test result was done, and did you find any change in quality parameters?
Yes, there have been researches on this.
Mhm.
So as a part of common knowledge, I would say, if you have pollution-free water, 1 liter, 2 liter, and if you put it in a very clean bottle, if you seal it properly, if you cover it and put it in a box for 5 years, I don't think there will be any quality problems, because in most cases, water get contaminated or quality issues are there when you have sunlight, contact with air, or anything coming from outside, any physical, bacteriological, or organic contamination coming from outside. So centuries of successful use of rainwater itself is a proof that there are not any health hazards if it is done properly with all caution and care.
Right, sir. Thank you. Again, suggestion from Mr. Nanak, and what he's suggesting that sector partners may be involved for quality assurance of the capacity building initiative of JGM. So yes, Mr. Nanak, we do agree, and as you are aware that JGM has already engaged the sector partner, and our effort is to have continuous capacity building program with the association with the sector partner. So now coming back to some people have asked to share the presentation. So, sir, if you could share the presentation, we can circulate among the wider participants.
No, I really thank you for that. The participants have shown so much interest in whatever I said. My little experience, little knowledge was found interesting by them. I will immediately email it once we are through with the meeting.
Thank you, sir. Again, suggestion from the Mr. Nanak that all the IEC material needs to be weighted by the WSSO, mandated institution of the PhD. So, any observation, comments you would like to answer?
The special thing about which is really uncontrollable, not in our hands with the government, is that somebody has to be posted at some position. Okay. Now WSSO government officers keep coming, like, the kind of aptitude, the kind of inclination that is required, everybody does not have. So I think whatever communication material which is to be circulated, it should be prepared by certain experts, not necessarily from WSSO. WSSO can be a facilitator, and they should be approved by some experts. So WSSO should have a panel of experts across the state who have this kind of temperament, who have this kind of aptitude, and WSSO can be act as a nodal agency rather than approving or checking or preparing it itself.
Right. Thank you, sir. Next suggestion again from Sila Khare, and her point is that NGO to be trained and guided in technical issues of water. If they are giving wrong message, it must be condemned. But the engineering working vertically, they should learn to work with all the stakeholders. They must be well trained to speak to other stakeholders. So what the point is that engineering should be also contribute and involved in the IEC building, and they should be trained properly to impart the duty responsibility.
Yes, I have. I fully agree, and I have stressed on this amply in my presentation. And engineer basically is the owner, is the prime stakeholder of a water supply scheme. And years ago, I made a presentation at some workshop, and that you will really smile when you listen to the title of the presentation. It was a presentation for engineers, and the title was "How to Work with NGOs and Consultants." How to work with NGOs and consultants.
Right.
Because it's a very different technique to work with NGOs. We engineers are normally in a habit of handling or dealing with contractors. NGOs are different.
Great, sir. Very interesting question, although you have stated in your presentation also. So right to that music. So this is a question from Mr. Navjyoti Sharma. Would love to know more about how you would use music for IEC activity.
Yes, the picture which is in my last slide, is it visible on screen right now?
Yes, we can see your last slide. Thank you.
Yeah, I'm standing there, and these are the village women and other people, representatives of various VWCs and PRIs in the training. It was 2 days back. So in this meeting, we were interacting informally, playing some games, and some activities were there just to, remove the hitch and the hesitation. So in this particular, I sang a song for them. It was a film song, which was very, very inspirational, very, very nice. And I made them sing with me. The impact was so nice, so nice. There are many songs which are very popular and which have very, very meaningful words, meaningful communication. And when it comes to music, I consider Bollywood music as a unification agent of the country. We are all united because of these songs. So we can use the decent, good songs with good lyrics in our IC activity. And if you go one step forward, you can compose, you can write music on water. Unfortunately, we don't have very good music on water in our country, which is popular, which is sung by everyone. But I think times will come. Now the new lyricists, new composers, new singers have started doing music on social issues. So water will also be one of the issues in the modern music.
Right, sir. So one view from Mr. Hari Singh Gurani. He has suggested that.
Yeah, 1 minute. 1 minute,
Yes,
I would like to intervene here. So maybe out of your experience, we are very keen to have a song from you, Anil Saab, at this point of time. So that will be an inspiration for all our listeners. Maybe, and also I will request you, if you have something we can share with us, so that we can also promote that. We can share with, we have a lot of KRCs, other ISAs, so that would be a good, a great service from you, a contribution from you for this program.
Uh, I'm thankful for your keen interest in what I said. I don't mind singing here. I don't mind really. And I'm not a great artist also. I'm just a fan of music, a enthusiastic music lover. But I would say that the kind of voice quality which this conference is giving is really not suitable for music. And if I present my song to you without any music and this sound quality, you will really not relish it. But if you still say I can hum 2 or 3 lines, okay?
Yeah, yeah, maybe
I can
that's
hum 2 or
for
3
that's
lines.
just for, people. A lot of, I think we have consultants, a lot of people across stage listening to that. Yeah, I understand, because songs are very, very crucial, important medium of communication to,
Mm-hmm.
get people together, to inspire people, convey the message. I think it's a very, very powerful media. There is no second thought about that.
Yeah, indeed,
But
indeed,
yes,
sir. I'll do that. And one other thing which you said that you want me to share material, sir. I will share to you, and in turn you can circulate to all of them. Whatever good material I have, or whatever material I have, I produce or develop in the coming times.
that would be great.
I'm also doing live music shows for my music friends all over the world,
Oh,
on internet.
oh, great.
So one day I want to dedicate one music show on water.
Oh, that would be great. Hmm, 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 hmm.
I'll do that. I'll do that. Today, I'm inspired with your enthusiasm and interest, and now I will hum 2 3 lines of that song which I'm seen singing in this picture in the end. Uh, Film songs are often treated as cheap or something because of the love songs, and but there are great songs which are patriotic, which are social game changers, which are great encouragement, great inspirational messages. So this particular song is from the movie Harish Chandra Taramati, and long back 40s, and the song is sung by Hemant Kumar, the great composer and singer of our country. And the lyrics indicate lyrics point at somebody who has devoted one's life to the community, to the social service, who has devoted himself fully to society. So, 2 3 lines for you. जगत भर की रोशनी के लिए करोड़ों की
प्रोफेसर
जिंदगी के
दिल्ली चंडीगढ़
लिए
जल जीवन मिशन के बारे में।
सूरज रे जलते रहना, सूरज रे जलते रहना, करोड़ों लोग पृथ्वी के भटकते हैं, करोड़ों आंगनों में है अंधेरा, अरे जब तक न हो घर घर में उजियारा, समझ ले है अधूरा काम तेरा, जगत उद्धार में अभी देर है, अभी दुनिया में अंधेर है, सूरज रे जलते रहना, सूरज रे जलते रहना. That's all for now.
That was a wonderful, wonderful song. I think you're gifted with a very nice, talent of singing. It was really, really great. बहुत अच्छा
And
था. Let's
sir,
get all this.
sir, when I sang this song to this audience which is visible in the picture, I told them there was a line which you must have noticed in the song. Uh, अरे जब तक न हो घर घर में उजियारा, समझ ले है अधूरा काम तेरा. So I told them, जब तक हर घर में FSTC ना लग जाए, समझ ले तुम्हारा काम अधूरा है.
बिल्कुल सही, I think. Uh,
आधे घंटे बात कर लीजिए. हाँ सर.
I think yes, like Swachh Bharat mission, so they have a lot of inspiring songs. Similarly, I think for this also we should have some songs, which I think this is an very important media to reach a common man. Common man. Jab tak, I think such certain good such songs, it's reach that people should start
Sir,
humming it. And I think this
sir,
is first and
there
foremost.
have been revolutions in the world where music groups have played instrumental role in through their
Exactly.
music, like Bob Marley in Africa, and
Mhm.
here in JJM, we should really focus on music, but we should hire some artist of repute who
Hmm.
has a popular appeal.
Hmm.
Otherwise, half-made songs or songs made just like that, they don't reach very far.
Hmm.
I look forward to a song which is sung not only in India, even outside.
Hmm.
So hire A.R. Rahman for this.
No, yeah, maybe on the serious note, we can think people are ready to contribute for this cause. I think so. We have been getting great support from almost every corner. And I think if you approach, I don't think so there is any person who will, turn down our request. And,
Your voice is cracking, sir.
I mean to say that we have been getting support from all corners for this program. So I think if you seriously approach, we'll get support. So I think that's been very interesting because I think these are very, very interesting things to reach people. So to reach people, yeah, maybe a serious lecture, people may not be interested. If you actually, I think these are important techniques which ISA should be mastering. If you go, I know we know that street plays, a lot of even nukkad nataks and such songs. These can only attract people and convey the message in their local, as you rightly pointed out, in the local language, in the local dialect. And I think these are the effective tools.
Sir,
Which
the voice has started cracking. I don't know
अच्छा
why.
क्या हमारी भी आवाज दिक्कत क्रैक हो रही है चलो मैं भी आई थिंक एज यूजुअल वी आर हैविंग a connectivity issue but okay I mean to say that these are very powerful media and I also sincerely believe that all these ISAs जो states में हम लोग use कर रहे हैं I think they have to master this technique maybe this through musics number two this we have street plays nukkad nataks so these are ways where common people can be attracted and our message can be conveyed got across to every
Yes, sir.
common man in a very powerful and a very effective manner. So I think this is a big lesson for us to, unless otherwise we have these ways. Otherwise, because you can't make a common man to sit like this, listen something for 2 hours. He'll not be ready to do that. Especially a villager who is sometimes tired, busy, whole day working. So these are very
Mm.
powerful tools where people can be reached, message can be conveyed. So that's what I was telling. So again, thank
Yes,
you
sir.
so much once again. So it was very interesting listening to you. You are not only a committed engineer, you have what is your passion, and also you are a multi-talented personality with your very nice, सुरीले आवाज जैसे बोलते हैं. It was very nice, very interesting to listen to you. So we look forward to interacting with you, and I think you have conveyed a lot of very, very important things. Important things. I think the first and forward message is yes. You just don't assign a job. You have to train them. You have to build their capacity. You have to orient them. You have to sensitize them. Unless otherwise, just run the mill kind of work, kind of implementation will not make this really a Jan Andolan, a people's movement. So that's very, very clear. Thank you once again. It was very interesting, very useful. I think a lot of our listeners who have been listening to this must have immensely benefited out of this session. Yeah, you have shared a lot of things as rightly pointed out. You spoke your heart. You spoke your experience of 30, almost 3 to 4 decades of working in the field. So we look forward to hear more from you and yes let's see how how can we get this certain things forward by this medium of songs and other effective means of communication with the common people especially the villagers. Thank you once again. I thank
Thank you, sir.
all the participants who have spared their valuable time at almost for 2 hours spending with us. And again, yes, I would end by saying that yes, building the capacity at every level, and IEC activities, especially communication, reorientation, it's all very, very important component of this aspect. Yeah, we look forward to work with you, to have some innovative ideas, maybe such songs and lot of things. So we'll work together. Thank you so much. If there anything else, would you like to say, Mr. Rana?
No, sir. That was a lot of good feedback we have received on the session. So I'm definitely
Yeah.
the presentations of presentation will be shared soon. Sir has already sent contact number, email. So if any person wants to get in touch with me directly, please feel free to.
Yes, already shared. Thank you so much. Thank you, everyone. Thank you
Thank you,
so
sir.
much. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Rana ji. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir.